Eagles fans, this is the scene from night one as Howie Roseman and crew traded up to pick number 13 to go get the D lineman Jordan Davis from Georgia. Davis is officially a Philadelphia Eagles. There he is, giving the commish a nice big hug. A good night for Jordan Davis now as we welcome him to Philadelphia. And I welcome you, Eagles fans, into Eagles Draft Central, presented by Dietz Watson. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni here with Fran Duffy and Ross Tucker. Guys, what a night. Howie Roseman did what Howie Roseman does. He made some moves in the first round, as we kind of predicted yesterday before the draft began. What are your initial reactions after night one?
I will say the excitement from night one continued into the morning of day two. I flew into the office this morning and watched all of A.J. Brown's targets from the last two seasons. This guy is going to be such a good fit in this Eagles offense. I can't wait to keep breaking him down.
Well, I watched like 5 highlights of A.J. Brown. I didn't run into the office to watch every target, but A.J. Brown's unbelievable. Jordan Davis, we know, was my favorite player in the entire draft. The Eagles hit a home run last night, and it's not just us saying that. It's everybody saying that.
Absolutely. And Eagles fans and players were certainly stoked after all the moves that were made last night as they took to social media to express their excitement. Let's take a look at what they were putting out there on Twitter. Big play slays as the DL is stacked up, that's for sure. I'm sure he's a happy man today. Javon Hargrave welcoming in the young guy to the room. Excited to see those two get together. Jordan Davis himself, he said still can't sleep. Hopefully he got a little more sleep on his flight over here from Vegas as he just pulled up to the NovaCare complex. Calais Campbell. This means a lot coming from a guy like Calais Campbell. Yep. Big things ahead for Jordan Davis when you got a guy like this believing in him. Hassan Reddick, a new Eagle welcoming an even newer Eagle. He's excited for both A.J. Brown and Jordan Davis, of course. And Fran, I thought you'd like this one. Jim Nagy giving Howie Roseman a ton of credit. Well deserved.
Yeah, no question. And I think that it's something, Ross, you talked about last night, is Howie Roseman's ability and his willingness to get these deals done. You trade up early in the draft, you trade out and get that deal done with Tennessee for A.J. Brown. Get the contract done and finalized throughout the course of the first round. It's good to see that savvy that Jim referenced there in that tweet.
Well, and I'm just amazed. It all happened in such a short time. I mean, it felt like that whole thing happened in like 5 minutes where they traded up for Davis. They got A.J. Brown. They got a contract. I know it wasn't 5 minutes, but it felt like it.
It was an adrenaline rush for sure. But don't worry, Eagles fans, we'll dive into A.J. Brown in a bit. But let's first dive a little deeper into Jordan Davis. There's probably no one more excited. I'm going out on a limb on this one, but more excited about this pick than Ross Tucker himself.
No, you're right. And that's because Jordan Davis has an extremely high floor and a high ceiling. So what do I mean by that? High floor is because he immediately will be one of the best run-stuffing defensive tackles in the NFL. That is a valuable position. I'm telling you right now, he already is that. But I think there's more there. I've watched enough clips of him and enough tape of him to think that there's more there from a playmaking standpoint. So he's got a high ceiling to be very productive as well. So that's what you want, right? You're going to draft a guy in the first round. You want a high floor and a high ceiling.
And for me, it's funny. Before I got in the car to race down and watch all the A.J. Brown targets, I sat on my Twitter account and I said, maybe I've posted some videos of Jordan Davis this college football season. Well, I couldn't find any videos, but I did find this photo where you see Jordan Davis on the left, but that's a normal-sized human being on the right. In the middle, that is 6'3", 315-pound NFL first-round draft pick by the Green Bay Packers, Devontae Wyatt. And then you've got the mountain, Jordan Davis, on the left. This guy is ginormous,
unreal.
Ross, just ridiculous.
Well, it's funny. I was actually talking with one of the Eagles scouts over at the hotel about his size, and they said it's like Jordan Mailata. The first time you see Jordan Mailata, you're just like, wow. He's one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. That's what Jordan Davis is like. Maybe it's a Jordan thing.
There's a whole lot of Jordan on this team now, that's for sure. We'll stick with us, Eagles fans, because coming up in just a bit, we're going to have a live press conference from Jordan Davis himself. He just arrived here to the NovaCare complex. But last night, he virtually met with Philadelphia media following his selection. He shared what the moment was like when he got that call from Howie Roseman.
It was extremely unreal, just getting the call. 30 seconds earlier before the call, you hear that they moved up, and when you got the phone call and you knew that they really wanted you, and it was crazy. I talked to Howie on the phone, and then it was like, man, this is a dream come true. But I knew Eagles were interested in me. They were one of 3 of my top 30 visits. So I've already been to the facility and I've seen how it looks and I've seen all the staff, and I'm just really excited to be there. They like how I was as a defensive player. They thought I could be a great addition to the D-line. I mean, you got guys like Hargrave and Fletch, and those are one of the best people. Those are guys I watched growing up. So to be an addition and to help the team, and I just want to do anything I can to help.
You heard Jordan Davis mention joining players like Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. How do you guys see his impact as a younger player joining a high-powered defense as it already is?
Well, it's tough to block a guy that's that big one-on-one, right? So if he's out there on the field, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, the rest of that Eagles defensive line, he's going to help them out, right? And that's a big part of it. But then you get to the second level of defense, the linebackers. I talked with all of the 3-star linebackers for Georgia this offseason: Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker. All three of them to a man were like, yeah, I want to bring Jordan Davis with me to the NFL. He made my job so easy. And then we talked about it last night. The Eagles love to play with those two high safeties. When you have a player like Jordan Davis in the middle of your defensive line, you feel comfortable playing with lighter boxes because you know he is going to dominate up front at the point of attack. He is a force multiplier. He makes everybody around him that much better.
Well, and Fran, you're primarily talking about run defense, which is great. I think you also have to double him in pass protection. I mean, you're not going to leave a center one-on-one with Jordan. I played center. Do I look like I can block Jordan Davis one-on-one? No, I can't. I couldn't. None of these guys couldn't either. So he's going to get the double team in the pass game as well.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon has to be a pretty happy man this morning, waking up knowing he has Jordan Davis on his defense. Well, in an exclusive one-on-one interview with Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, Jordan Davis described what he can bring to the Eagles defense.
Anchor in the middle. Anything that goes up the middle is mine. So I want to be that general on the inside, and whatever they want me to do, I can do it. So, Coach Rocker, I talked to him, and he recruited me at Georgia when he was there. So we have a great relationship, and I'm just ready to get out there and see what they can do for me.
Davis mentioned his relationship with Tracy Rocker. Ross, as a former player, how important is it to reconnect with someone who recruited you back in the day, long before the bright lights of the NFL were shining?
Well, it means a lot. In life, relationships are everything. They've got a long relationship going back to 15, 16 years old. And think about it. Relationships are where you build trust. Trust is really important with a position coach. You want to believe that he's putting you in the best position to succeed.
Well, I know we could talk about Jordan Davis all day, and I'm sure the buzz will certainly continue throughout the city of Philadelphia, but let's switch gears a little bit and talk about that big trade for wide receiver A.J. Brown last night. Fran, it is a stacked wide receiver room now in Philadelphia.
I mean, to me, we talk about Jordan Davis being that force multiplier. A.J. Brown is that force multiplier on offense. What he can do for Devontae Smith, for Dallas Goedert, that entire skill position group of this Eagles offensive attack, it's going to be so much fun. And watching him, Tennessee, they lined him up inside and outside, and he could do a lot of different things. What I loved most about him, though, the ball in his hands, he is a monster. He is so strong. He's got great vision. He has got a great want-to get into the end zone, to get a first down. He is always, if they needed a bucket on third down, if they needed a bucket in the red zone, A.J. Brown was the number they called. I can't wait to see him here in Eagles Green.
One of the things I love about him, the body type.
Yeah.
6'1", 226. I mean, that's almost like a running back, and that's how he plays. He is so physical in every aspect of the game, which is the perfect complement in my mind for Devontae Smith. Two very different players that I think play off each other extremely well.
Let's see how the trade itself all shook out. The Eagles gave the Tennessee Titans picks 18 and 101 for A.J. Brown. What do we think about the trade itself, guys?
Well, it's been one of the big topics this offseason. It's been those veteran wide receivers on the move. When you look back at Devontae Adams in Green Bay going to Las Vegas, you look at Tyreek Hill going from Kansas City to Miami, and with both of those trades, look at the draft hauls. Look at the compensation that went from one team to the other. You're talking about multiple picks, but the big thing that stands out to me, A.J. Brown's 24 years old. Those guys are getting close to 30. A.J. Brown, he is younger than some players in this draft class. So for me, you're getting a player going into his prime. You didn't give up as much from a draft compensation standpoint. This is a no-brainer, huge trade for this Eagles team.
Well, and Fran, how about another receiver that's his age and that also went down last night in Hollywood Brown from the Baltimore Ravens to the Arizona Cardinals? The Cardinals gave up the 23rd pick for Hollywood Brown. I mean, he's a nice player, but come on, it's not even close. If you look at what they've done the last 3 years, it's not even comparable. A.J. Brown's one of the best receivers in the NFL. To only give up the 18th pick as opposed to the 23rd pick feels like the Eagles got tremendous value there.
And we know Nick Sirianni loves his wide receivers, so I'm excited to see what he has in store for A.J. Brown. But not only did the Eagles get A.J. Brown, they also signed him to a 4-year, $100 million extension. Last night, Howie Roseman saying that the trade was contingent upon the contract extension. Roseman told us that how it all went down. Let's take a look.
The trade was contingent on us getting an extension, so something we were working on during the course of the draft, and we were just kind of trying to balance finishing that, and if we didn't finish that, making sure we also got the right players. But it didn't matter the receivers on the board. You know, for us, A.J. Brown was somebody that we had studied coming out and spent a lot of time on, and we had a lot of love for A.J. Brown in that draft. Obviously, you know, things went a different way in that draft, but I'm really excited to get him, just in terms of how Coach can use him and his vision for A.J. Brown in this offense, and how he complements the other guys that we have here. And as you guys may or may not know, his relationship with our quarterback, you know, all exciting things, and I'm looking forward to getting him into Philadelphia.
In that soundbite, we also heard Roseman mention his relationship with quarterback Jalen Hurts. Well, that relationship goes all the way back to the high school football recruiting days. Last night, Hurts FaceTimed his old pal as the news broke. Here is their instant reaction.
Man, what's happening, man?
Hey, let's do it, man. Hey.
Boy.
Hey, let's do it, man.
Say no more.
The laugh gets me every time. Every time I watch it, the laugh makes me laugh. Well, Nick Sirianni now has another weapon on offense, one that Roseman believes will fit Sirianni's vision. Let's hear what he had to say about his new wide receiver.
Yeah, really excited just to have him on this team. He plays with great play strength. I mean, this is a strong man. You know, he's quick for a big guy, and he catches everything. All right, those are things that really stick out from his tape, and you know, there's no projection there, right? It's like, well, this is what he's going to be in the NFL. No, you've seen it, right? You've seen it, and you've seen it for 3 years now, and it's just exciting to put on his tape and watch him. So can't tell you how excited we are to be able to work with him on that offensive staff and have him on this football team, and he's going to help us become a better football team.
Well, now we welcome in Dave Spadaro, who joins us from outside the draft room tonight. Dave, we have a lot to get to, but let's start with Jordan Davis. You had a chance to sit down with the first-round pick right after he was selected. What were your first thoughts after that interview?
Well, he was really proud, Ella, of the bear hug that he gave Commissioner Goodell. First of all, he said he bear hugged him, and he thought that he felt some bones cracking in the commissioner's back. So he was really excited. And look, he enjoyed his visit to the NovaCare complex, felt so appreciated by the Eagles during that visit. Obviously, the Eagles trading up to get him, so he felt wanted. A humble young man who now gets to play alongside one of his idols, Fletcher Cox, and somebody who will be a player of impact for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I loved his personality, a gigantic man when you stand next to him. You know, there have been very few who've intimidated me a little bit physically. I'll name Sean Andrews, I'll name Reggie White, and I will name Jordan Davis in that mix as well. He is enormous.
Well, Dave, you are fresh off the red eye. You got in early this morning. You've been at the NovaCare complex all day. You've been talking with coaches, scouts, front office. What's the buzz? What's everybody saying about the acquisition of Jordan Davis?
Yeah, Fran, look, a talented player, a special player, and relating back to my conversation with Howie Roseman earlier in the week, that's the kind of addition the Eagles wanted to make. If they were going to trade up, they was going to be for a special talent. As Howie said last night, a top 10 talent on their board. So they are thrilled that he comes in. Eagles always going to build from the lines out. He'll come in and right now be an impact player as a run stuffer, as Ross has said. Great ability, they think also, when he gets an opportunity, which he didn't have a lot of opportunities during a lot of blowout wins from Georgia as a pass rusher. Just a piece of the puzzle at defensive line where the Eagles really feel they can dominate and they can rotate. And really, that's the plan here, is to rotate and keep all of those players fresh, enormously powerful, talented, great lateral quickness, great first step, violent with his hands. Everything that you have said has been echoed by the scouts and the coaches that I've talked to. They are thrilled to get a player that, again, they think is a special talent who fits right into this defense.
Well, now transitioning to A.J. Brown, this is a guy entering his 4th season in the NFL. How can his experience help the wide receiver room here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, Ella, it's no longer, last year we'd all talked about a young group, and a lot of analysts said, well, why aren't the Eagles bringing in veteran wide receivers? They instead rode with the young guys, and those young players gained a lot of experience. And we saw Quez Watkins really blossom, and we saw Devontae Smith have a record-setting rookie season for the Eagles. Now they get A.J. Brown, who comes in here as a legitimate number 1 receiver. And the word is kind of a number. Eagles have a 1 and a 1A with A.J. and Devontae Smith. So they are 2 players who are going to play off of each other very well. And I think, look, A.J.'s done it, and he did it in an offense that was a run-heavy offense in Tennessee. Eagles obviously led the league in rushing last year. This gives great balance, gives them a vertical threat. And the idea is to build around Jalen Hurts and see just what kind of steps Jalen makes in year number 3. So when you bring in an established player who's done it in the NFL, very short learning curve to understand the Eagles offense, he should be able to step right in and be highly productive. Matchup nightmare for defenses going against this group of pass catchers, and that includes Dallas Goedert.
Dave, you mentioned A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith playing off each other. That's what I'm curious about. How do you expect them to complement each other?
Ross, beautifully. And, let's talk about some tandems in Eagles pass-catching history. And the only one that really comes to mind with me is when Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson were together. The speed of Jackson, Maclin a little bit more physical, also had some speed. They really didn't gel as much with the big numbers until later in their time together, but absolutely extremely productive. But I can't remember 2 as talented as Devontae and A.J. And the word with A.J. is he is extremely physical, extremely violent, will go across the middle, will win at the point. He will beat one-on-one coverage. Ross, they should be a perfect complement with each other. And again, it is a 1 and 1A situation. The Eagles have a wide receiver tandem and really a wide receiver group that kind of matches up with any in the NFL in terms of talent right now. So terrific grouping and a perfect complement, a big physical receiver in A.J. Brown. He's not a 6'3", slow, plodding receiver. He's got the vertical speed. He's got the physical ability. He's got the great hands. He's going to win one-on-one battles. He's going to win at the top of the routes. The scouts were raving about A.J. Brown. 3 extremely productive years. And, oh, by the way, also a touchdown maker, 24 touchdowns in his 3 seasons at Tennessee. That's the name of the game, putting the ball in the end zone. The red zone offense got a whole lot better with this trade.
Well, Dave, let's turn the page to tonight. Obviously, day 2 of the NFL draft, and that's been a day that's been kind to the Eagles over the years. A lot of quality talent in rounds 2 and rounds 3. But what do you expect here from this team tonight?
We all know that the Eagles traded away a lot of draft capital, so they have options. Again, all of these moves the Eagles have made since the middle of the 2021 regular season when they signed Mailata and Goddard and Sweat and Maddox set them up for this offseason. The trade with New Orleans brought in more draft options, and Howie took advantage of that last night. So tonight, 2 picks, Fran, it's anybody's guess. I think there's some obvious areas where you could see the Eagles addressing the defensive secondary. You could see the Eagles potentially addressing at some point in the draft tight end. Who's your number 2 tight end here? What about your backfield situation with, Sanders in his last year of his contract, Boston Scott on a 1-year deal, Kenny Gainwell in his 2nd season. Who's your big physical running back? But I think the Eagles feel like they have a lot of options here, and they don't want to force a pick into a position. And I think that's what Howie's his message has been all along. You can't undo a forced pick. So don't do that. Just stay true to your board. And of course, we know there's a ton of talent on the board in day number 2 of the NFL draft.
All right, well, I got to ask the Eagles insider what kind of inside information you're going to be providing us throughout the night, as I know you'll be hanging around the draft room.
Yeah, in and out of the draft room, Ella, and talking to the scouts, the coaches, and finding out just what appeals these players, what appeal they have to the Eagles. Why are they Philadelphia Eagles? And so it's so fascinating to be up here. There's a ton of energy. You kind of get a sense of how things happen behind the scenes, how he's been working the phones all day. So if there are potential draft trades to be made, moves to be made, they have already been laid out. They've already been agreed to. And tonight is the night to execute, just like last night. Again, when you're able to make 2 trades in the very short period of time that the Eagles made them last night and consummate a contract, it shows that you've got everything in order. You've laid the groundwork for things. You're organized. And I think that will continue tonight. And I will bring it all to you right here from the draft room inside, and then right here, just steps outside the room.
You sure will. Thanks so much, Dave. We will see you later on following each round tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, let's turn the page to draft day number 2. All right, guys, this is where we get into the meat and potatoes of some really good football players. Ross, I'll start with you. What do you like tonight on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I want to start with a running back, and I'm going to go with Breece Hall. There hasn't been a running back selected yet. I think he's the best running back in the draft from Iowa State, and it's because he can do everything. He's got a nice body type at 5'11", 220, but he excelled in every aspect of the game. Did an outstanding job catching the ball out of the backfield from Brock Purdy. He's excellent once he gets the ball in open space. He has tremendous vision, which is one of the things that really stood out to me. Even here, as sort of the wildcat quarterback, you see his ability to bounce outside, cut it all the way back. He's a good pass protector as well. I think he's pretty much generally considered to be the best running back in this draft because he can do it all.
I mean, frankly, I'm so impressed by Breece Hall, but I am disappointed in you, Ross. I mean, you bring up the meat and potatoes, Ella, of this draft, and you go running back. I'm going to go offensive line. Let's talk Cameron Jurgens, the center from Nebraska. This is a 3-year starter, and I remember when he first got moved to the center position, guys, he was a really impressive athlete at tight end. They decided, hey, let's move him inside the offensive line. He took over right away in the summer of 2019. He gave up 1 sack in 3 years as a starter, according to Pro Football Focus. He is a weapon on the move as a blocker in the run game, in the screen game. Really, really impressive athlete. He tested out of this world at the combine. And then you watch him. He is stronger than you would think at 300 pounds, a little bit undersized, but this is a player who can get out in the move and be a force at the point of attack.
Well, and listen, 2 things. Number 1, he's already up my board with that cowboy hat. I mean, that cowboy, I liked him as a player. Now I like him a lot more as a player with that cowboy hat. But also, we all love Jason Kelce. He can't play forever. As much as we all wish Jason Kelce could play forever, he can't. So the Eagles might consider getting a guy in the ranks in case they need him.
Hopefully I don't ruffle your feathers, Fran, because I'm going back to the running back group, and I'm going with Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State. He transferred last year from Wake Forest, and in one prolific season, he completely changed his future. Over 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns in 2021. Doak Walker Award winner, consensus All-American, Big Ten running back of the year, you name it, he won it. Coming out of high school in Tennessee, he had just 3 FBS offers, and even when he entered the transfer portal, there wasn't much interest. But that first play of the season with Michigan State, he ripped off a 75-yard touchdown run, and he soon became the face of the team. He's a workhorse, he creates yardage, he's consistent downhill, but most importantly, he makes people miss. He led FBS with 89 forced missed tackles and in yards after contact. He said, after I get the handoff, I just let my instincts take over. There's so much to love about his game. Mel Tucker, head coach at Michigan State, thanked Walker for being interested in his program. He said he'll be a Spartan forever.
Well, and I think that speaks a lot to say that that's the impact that he had on Mel Tucker. He was only there for 1 year. A year ago, he was in the transfer portal, and now he's going to the NFL. And that's why I love talking with the transfer players' teammates and talking with Jalen Naylor, the wide receiver from Michigan State, a couple of the offensive linemen. I said, how did Kenneth Walker stand out early? They said, workout number 1, he was one of the fastest, one of the most hardest working guys we had in the building. No shock that he had the success he did.
You know, and I think it feels like he came out of nowhere, and I get that. But I called a couple games for Wake Forest the last couple years. They have a really unique offense.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to go all into it, but it's not conducive to running back success. I think this is something he could have been doing for years if he had been in a different place.
Now, hopefully, he'll hear his name called tonight. But just a reminder, Eagles fans, we will be hearing from new Eagle Jordan Davis any minute now, so hang tight as we await his press conference from the NovaCare complex. In the meantime, we want to give a huge shout out to Dietz Watson, Eagles Draft Central, presented by Dietz Watson, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, guys, we're going to stick right here, and we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. Who do you see coming off the board for defense tonight, Ross?
Well, Jaquan Brisker, he's a safety from Penn State. I watch a lot of Penn State football, and I'm excited to talk about him.
All right, Ross, I have to cut you off because we are going to hear from Jordan Davis right now from the podium.
Doing good?
Good evening, everybody.
Jordan, what's these last, 20 hours been like for you?
It's been crazy. The whole experience, just the fact that I'm even here right now is still surreal. Hasn't hit me yet. Doesn't feel like it's hit me, but definitely excited to be here. I'm grateful to have my family here, and it's just a wonderful opportunity.
Jordan, Josh Tolentino from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Nice to meet you, man. We've heard about your mom being an Eagles fan. What was her reception, her reaction, over the past however many hours?
Well, I don't know if you want to ask her personally. She's right there, but I'm sure she's super stoked. She's not going to, be overly excited. She's going to keep it cool, and try not to fold. But I'm sure she's super proud and super excited for me. And to be doing it for her favorite team, it makes you want to go even harder.
What's the story of how she became an Eagles fan?
Huge fan of Donovan McNabb. So they can tell you how long she'll be an Eagles fan because Donovan McNabb been through a minute ago. But, yeah, she's been a huge Eagle fan ever since I can remember.
Jordan, I know it's kind of a broad question, but when you look back at your time at Georgia, what are some of the biggest lessons you take from that?
The people. Developing relationships, the locker room, what it takes to be a championship caliber team. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm grateful to have that experience at Georgia to learn from and also carry those memories that I have from Georgia into a place like Philly.
Hey, Jordan, when we talked to you yesterday, you talked about how the way you played, the way you were used in school was more kind of, you were selfless and you were doing things for the team, maybe not to getting the stats that you could have otherwise. Did that take some getting used to kind of have that role and give up yourself, sacrifice your own performance to do what the team needed?
Not really. I always had that. When I first got to Georgia, my main mission was to get on the field and play, and whatever that took or whatever I had to learn, I was willing to do it. That was one of the things that I learned at Georgia. That's one of the things that we take pride in at Georgia as the defensive line unit, is just being selfless members of the team. And, I always say, two on me, somebody's free. And when you have a mindset and play like that, it's everybody's pulling in the same direction. There's no individuality in the team. And, I just don't want to be that individual. I want to be a team player.
It sounds like it took you some time to start playing football. What convinced you to finally play?
I don't know. I just kind of picked it up, tried it, liked it. It was a challenge. It was one of those sports where I had to learn my way up. First starting out, I was on JV, and now, I'm playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's a crazy experience. It's a journey of a lifetime, and, it took a long time in the making, a lot of dedication.
And that was in high school?
High school, 10th grade.
Have you always been bigger than your peers?
I was kind of around the even in the pack until I hit a couple growth spurts, I want to say. But definitely, obviously now I'm above the pack, so not really sure when that happened.
Jordan, when you made the move into football, when did it kind of click for you that this might be my future? When did you know?
So when I first started playing football in high school, my main mission was to get to college. Then when I got to college, my main mission was to get to the NFL and graduate. But, when the NFL comes knocking, have a great career at Georgia And I just wanted to take advantage of this opportunity I had at hand. And it kind of just clicked. And when I hit school, I was like, I could do this as a career. I could do, what I love every day as a career. And, they say if you do what you love, then you would never work a day in your life. So I guess that's when it clicked.
Jordan, have any of the players on the team, have they reached out to you, like maybe Fletch or Javon Hargrave? Anybody?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts reached out to me last night. He was excited, ready to work. And I said, sent back, I said, ring chasing, because, that's what we're doing. Obviously, he's been at Bama. He knows what it takes to win a national championship, as do I. And to be able to do that in the NFL takes a lot of dedication, a lot of work. And I'm just willing to learn under him and learn under the other guys on the team and just soak it all in.
Jordan, in looking at your game footage at Georgia, before every game, I noticed that you would spend a moment with your mom and pray. Why did you do that, and how did that help you?
Well, it's keeping God first. I wouldn't be here without him. None of us would be here without him. I'm a huge believer. And, it's just one of those things that, it becomes common, it becomes a tradition, and it just gives you that little boost of confidence before each game. It might call it a superstition, some people might, but I just feel like I don't have my best games unless I'm praying.
Back when you were playing basketball, back in high school, do you feel like you took any lessons from that time and incorporated into your football game?
Definitely. I mean, any sport you play will definitely bring in lessons. It doesn't matter, if you're playing tennis or what, you can always learn something from a sport. But definitely the experiences, you have a lot tight-knit team. You can only have but so many people on a basketball team, and it kind of prepares you for the football team. So you know how to work with the small group and know how to work with a large group. But, team sports, you always have a lesson to learn. Each year is just different, but it's the same messages, the same tone. You just want to have that chemistry with your teammates.
How much fun was it for you to have your big day, first-round pick in the NFL, share it with 4 of your teammates as well?
Definitely. It's an amazing feeling. We've been talking about this day for a long time. We had a goal at Georgia. We wanted to win a national championship and also go to the NFL. So for us 5 and the ones that's going to be called today and tomorrow, it's just a testament of how hard we worked for this moment, and especially last night, those 4 guys that went alongside me, we put a lot of dedication. Those are guys that you talk to almost every day and have that bond with them because, you grinded so hard. You wanted to achieve that common goal, so you always hang around each other because, birds of feather flock together. So
Yesterday you mentioned how the Eagle scheme, there's some similarities between that and the Georgia one. Could you get a little more specific in some of those similarities?
Definitely. Well, I think the only thing that's different with the scheme is just the terminology, the words that's being used. So I think that my adjustment will be very smooth, especially in regards to the playbook and just learning. And just whatever I need to do, they could teach me. I want to play between the tackles, so that's what I've been doing at Georgia, is just line up passing straight. People call me a nose guard, but, I really had the same duties as everybody else that played the tackle.
What's the story behind DJ Oreo?
DJ Oreo, man, I was wanted to be a DJ when I was little, and I used to think that turntables look like little Oreos spinning, and so I was like, well, shoot, DJ Oreo, because, 1s and 2s, but it was a little, when I was way young, like a kid when I came up with that name.
How were you as a DJ?
Room for improvement, as always. I'm a little bit better now. My turntables are at my friend's house, but, I still get on from time to time.
Jordan, do you have an ideal weight that you'd like to play at? What you feel comfortable playing at weight-wise?
Definitely 330s. 330s, I believe, is the perfect weight for me.
Where are you in that relation?
45. 345. Yes.
Jordan, draft night was bound to be a big night in your life, regardless heading into it. But what was your reaction when you found out that the team had traded up?
Yeah, it just tells you how much they really wanted you. And I came here at my top 30 visit. It was my one of 3 teams that I visited, and just the feeling that you know these people, you talk with them, and you have that prior experience with them in person. Just to know that they wanted you as bad and they had big plans for you, they knew that you was going to add value to their team. It makes you feel really special and really wanted. So I always say I wanted to go where I wanted, and I definitely think that Philadelphia is the place to be.
Jordan, out of curiosity, why the 3 visits?
3 visits?
Yeah.
I guess that's just what I was scheduled for. You know, I didn't choose them. It was really my agency. I guess they connected with my agency and stuff like that. But
Who were the other two?
Baltimore, Dallas.
So were those the three that you thought it was going to go one of those three ways, or what are the teams that were hottest?
I believe. I think out of those three, I think that was the highest. I mean, that was 3 visits, so I can, you know, but yeah, I definitely thought one of those 3 teams was going to pick me up, and obviously, you know, I got picked up by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Before the trade ended, did you think it was going to be Baltimore at 14?
Yeah, I definitely thought that whoever was going to be first was going to pick me up, and it just happened to be you. I'm glad y'all made the jump.
Your youth, basketball was a priority, and you mentioned DJing. I understand video games were part of that, and I know we were asked earlier about like when it clicked for you, but when mentally do you feel like football became something that you were passionate about? Was it being successful on the field? Was it a mentor maybe showing you something? Was there something in particular that all of a sudden made you love the sport?
Definitely. Growing up, coming from high school, I went to Mallard Creek, and you have guys like DJ Humphreys. I was just talking to him yesterday. I was like, I remember you came to school and you talked to me and you was telling me about your experiences, your trials and tribulations, and I just was really inspired. I always remember that. And so as I went along, college, it really clicked. I was like, man, I could really go far in this, and took a lot of work, you know, a lot of dedication. But if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And I'm glad that I had that opportunity to do that yesterday and last night. And, you know, it's one thing to get to the NFL. It's another thing to stay there. So.
Did you remain in contact with DJ during the process just to understand how it would be to get drafted and to play in the NFL? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he hit me, and then he was just telling me, you know, his experience. He said, you know, hit me anytime you need something, and you know, I'll definitely take advantage of that. And I'm just ready to. That's why I'm really excited to meet the guys in our unit, defensive line like Javon Hargrave and you know Fletcher Cox, because you know those guys that been in the league for a very long time and you know very productive and do their thing. And I just want to soak up all the information I can.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
I love him. I love him as a player. That was a great press conference. Good news, Dallas didn't get him. DJ Oreo. But probably my favorite part is that his mom was an Eagles fan. I read something yesterday that he had to go up to his room if he wanted to watch something else if the Eagles were on, because there was no chance mom was changing the channel.
Why didn't somebody ask him about that? Why didn't he stay there with his mom and watch the Eagles? No, I'm just kidding. You can just see the personality, Fran, and what you like from him. Absolutely awesome. By the way, shout out to the freshman interior offensive lineman that had to block Jordan Davis when he was playing JV in 10th grade. That's awesome, though. He had to earn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had to earn it. He was playing JV in 10th grade.
Yeah, and going back to what you said, Ella, I mean, I heard him speak for the first time at the Combine, at his press conference. I've been around him a couple times since that point, and he is just so impressive. Eagles fans, I promise, are going to love Jordan Davis.
DJ Oreo. There he is, ready to go. Well, we're going to go back to where we started before the press conference. Ross, I did cut you off, but we started talking about defensive players we're excited to see tonight.
Yeah, and for me, it's Penn State safety Jaquan Brisker. I watch a lot of Penn State football. He is an absolute stud. I thought there was a chance he would go late in round 1. He's just good at everything. I mean, he's really good in coverage, whether it's zone or man. They would match him up on tight ends and backs at times. I think he can play the nickel corner if you want him to. Very good as a run defender. But the thing that really jumped out to me this past year is the instincts. It just seemed like he always had a feel for where the ball was going before it actually got there. And then the clutch plays. I mean, he made plays to close out the game early in the season against Wisconsin, Auburn. They might not win those games if he doesn't get those late interceptions.
And to me, that was the big difference watching him in 2020 compared to 2021 was his decisiveness and his confidence. You talked about the instincts, the ability to win games late in the down. I thought that Jaquan Brisker just looked so much more decisive this year. And for me, I want to stay in the secondary, guys, because I want to talk about Andrew Booth, one of the most impressive corners in the entire country. country. And I want to take you back to the first time I ever laid eyes on Andrew Booth. It was a game in 2020 against Virginia. He was a backup. I didn't know who Andrew Booth was. He made this ridiculous one-handed Odell Beckham on Sunday Night Football interception in the end zone, and I immediately go to my laptop. I'm like, yeah, Andrew Booth, file this name away for later. He becomes a starter this year for the first time. 15 starts in his career, guys, 5 picks, 9 pass breakups. So he is always around the football, but he's not just a cover corner. He's also one of the most violent tacklers in this class at the cornerback spot. So you're sitting at home, you're like, well, why is this guy here on day 2? Well, he had, reportedly had core muscle surgery earlier this month. He couldn't participate in anything here in the pre-draft process. So no combine, no pro day. That's why he's here on day 2. But Andrew Booth, he's a really, really impressive player.
Yeah, and I was able to call the Clemson game against Louisville this year. What stood out to me, his competitiveness. I mean, he is aggressive. He has that feistiness that you're looking for in a corner, and I think Fran's exactly right. If he didn't have the core muscle surgery, I think he would have been drafted last night.
Well, I'm going to go with a linebacker, and that's Chad Muma out of Wyoming. And I'm going to start with this. He chases everything. He has the range to make plays up and down the field in run and pass. His pre-snap recognition abilities allow him to anticipate what's to come and react quickly. 3 interceptions in 2021, 2 returned for touchdowns. Just a nasty tackler, strong hands. His motor runs hot. 142 tackles, guys, in 2021. Second most in FBS. He just fills up the stat sheet, has natural instincts, leadership skills. He was a 2-time team captain. Incredible speed, just an overall awareness to get to the football. He's described as a true professional.
And to me, that's where I almost like take a look at the big theme from the 3 players that we've discussed here at this desk is that all 3 A+ intangibles. Muma, Booth, Brisker, all 3 of them known as leaders, known as A+ off the field. That's the big takeaway with all 3 of these guys.
You know, you have to be a little careful of comparing guys to someone else from their college because it's a little bit too easy. But he does remind me of Logan Wilson, you know, the Bengals starting linebacker who was an integral part of them getting to the Super Bowl this year. They play very similar brand of ball.
Well, he got to sit behind him for 2 years. Not a bad guy to learn from. Well, Eagles fans, stick with us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll see you in a minute. All right, Ross, moment of truth. How have we performed on the Duncan memory match game on the Eagles app?
Yeah, not well. No, Fran watched me. I told you I'm not good at memory. I do it with my daughters. I didn't go, and it didn't happen real well. I'll try it again, but it's not my thing. What can I say?
The good thing is I was able to time him with a sundial to make sure that's how quickly he was going to get it done.
Good. All right. Well, Fran last night, he has been burning the midnight oil, to say the least, working on the Journey to the Draft podcast. What can Eagles fans expect from these upcoming episodes?
Sure. Well, the episode that dropped this morning, myself, Dane Brugler, Ben Fennell, we broke down Jordan Davis. We broke down A.J. Brown, their fits here in Philadelphia. Tonight and tomorrow night, we'll break down all of the newest Eagles. So if you are not already, be sure to go subscribe to the Journey to the Draft podcast wherever podcasts can be found, which, by the way, if you had been subscribed this whole time, you'd know all about all these players that we were talking about, and you'd be right there with us in appreciating their talent. So make sure you go subscribe, again, wherever podcasts can be found.
Well, while Fran talks about the serious stuff, I'm going to talk about the important stuff, and that's food. 2 days in a row, we're getting spoiled by our friends at Linden Italian Market. They brought us another amazing spread from Dietz Watson. Guys, are you ready for some more hoagies tonight? You got enough room in the bellies?
Always. I had it for the late night snack at the end of the draft last night, and then I took some to the hotel room, put it in my fridge. I don't understand how the bread is still so soft. It was in the fridge for like 5 hours. I had a lunch at 1, absolutely delicious.
I had a couple saved on the table for after the shows last night, and they disappeared. Now I think I know where they ended
I think
up.
you need to add to your Twitter bio that you now analyze bread as well. It's a good,
I
good thing to
analyze
add.
all food. I take it seriously.
All right, Eagles fans, as a reminder, tonight the Eagles will have one pick in the second round, that's number 51, and one in the third, that's number 83. That's as it stands now. As we know very well, anything can happen from now until then. But we will have you covered live immediately following each round for instant analysis. Please join us at PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the official mobile app, and all social channels. We'll also carry a press conference with Howie Roseman, Andy Weidel, and Nick Sirianni, and we will hear from our Day 2 selections. Well, that's it for us, Eagles fans. Enjoy tonight, and as always, go Birds.